Hi there. Let's talk about restarting your life after you hit one of those barriers that you cannot overcome. It's there. I talked about in the last post, for me, it was getting fired from Channel 9, and I had been part of the news operation that had shot to the top of the charts, and yet I was fired, going from a six-figure income to a year and a half later being fired. Now, that in itself presented a lot of problems. I got a lot of people who, wherever I went, would give me sympathy. We love you, Carole. They shouldn't have done that. Well, that is wonderful and flattering, but it also can eat at you because it sounds like you're over, and you're not over. There's a part of your life that you cannot go back to, but you are going to have a fresh start. At some point, it will happen. The first firing from Channel 9 meant that I had to sell my house, move into an apartment, cut expenses. I was making a half of my income now, and it was not enough. And then, well, I did talk radio and loved it. Still had that job from noon to 3, interviewing celebrities and all kinds of people who came into the studio, many of them. I wasn't even interviewing them by phone. So I loved that job. I loved it more than anchoring the news, more than anything that I did. I loved the interviewing. That was what my epiphany was all those years ago. I want to interview people, and here I am. So all of that was over. And what am I going to do with it? What are my skills here? Where can I go? And I thought about it for a long time, and then this is drastic. It doesn't mean your restart's going to be this way, but you definitely have to give it some thought. I decided I wanted to know who Carole Nelson really was. I had been living in a world of privilege and influence. I wasn't wealthy by any means, but I was treated as though I were. And now I wanted to find out, when all of that was stripped away, who Carole Nelson really was. So it was risky, yes. I just didn't know where to go when the talk show company fired me, just like Channel 9 had. I didn't have anything. That's when I thought, okay, who are you? Well, the first thing was I didn't have a home. I was homeless. Really take stock of that. I was homeless. I had no savings, and the little money that I had saved went in a failure to try to keep the house that I had bought. I couldn't do it. I entered into some kind of a thing that turned out to be not a scam, but it didn't work. And the people who bought it, quote unquote, they wound up with a house, and I wound up with a mortgage. So I had put all my money in that. I went to my sister's house until her daughter was going to move in. I went to my friend's house. There just wasn't enough room. So I landed at my mother's, and she babied me. She made me all of my favorite foods. We talked for a long time. We watched Lawrence Welk on Saturday nights. All of this was my transition time. I would love going to the pool and with her, and we would swim in the afternoons, and it was really a good time for both of us. Now, I have lived with each one of my children at different times and with my mother, and I can tell you those were some of the happiest times of my life. They really, not that I didn't want a job, not that I didn't feel a certain sense of desperation, I did. But living with my mother right then felt really good. I had to think, okay, if you want to know who Carole Nelson really is, you're not going to be able to do it here. All the advice I had was use your franchise. You've been in the market all this time. Hey, your name recognition is unbelievable. So start a business or let a business help you and you put your name on it and they'll do all the work. And I did not see Carole Nelson, hamburgers and hot dogs. No, it wasn't something I wanted to do. Even the things that people brought forward that kind of made sense that I could do, by then I was just over it. I was just over Carole Nelson. That Carole Nelson. So what did I do? I flew to Seattle where I knew no one. I lived with my son and his wife, and they in a very tiny house. They let me use my son Todd's office for my bedroom. And I had clothes hung up all around that office. And I had all my stuff there in this little room, and yet it worked out. It worked out. Finally, and I went over to Seattle, and I thought, I have no idea what I'm going to do here. And then, I don't know, it just came to me that, well, I can teach college. I have the credentials. And I was sending out resumes, only my word processor died. Yeah, no computers back then, or at least not for me, no computer skills, send out resumes. And I only had so much I could give them. So I began stuffing envelopes with a handwritten, all the things you're not supposed to do, handwritten envelope, and then stuffed them with pictures of mine that I had over the years that I had copied. And so I copied enough that I could put it in the envelope and send it off. Everything you're not supposed to do, and frankly, I didn't think that it was much, but it worked. And I got a call from the Art Institute of Seattle. They wanted to talk to me. The head of the music business department wanted to talk to me. Well, that was a shock. So I thought, what do I have to do? Do they know I don't sing or play an instrument or know anything about music? I went for the audition. The Art Institute back then was like something so far out of a box that you couldn't even see a box. I taught video production, I taught broadcast advertising, I taught business ethics, I taught it a whole lot of things, and I know some of them were really helpful. If somebody wanted to market a band, let's say, this is somebody who wants to be a band manager, what are the ways that he can sell his band to a radio station or to a nightclub, or how can he get the word out? And I had them choose a topic, choose some place that they wanted their group to go, and they had to come up with a complete, for the entire semester, from the beginning, choose a place, and by the end of it, have the people enthusiastic enough about hiring this band or whatever it was, that they will come in to the Art Institute and sit for your final project, in which you tell them everything you have done to support their business. That was my restart. And I had a different voice. It wasn't the same voice that I had. And at one time in a classroom, I thought, so this is really my true voice. This isn't Carole Nelson, anchor woman's voice. I don't know exactly what that meant. I went from hair and makeup and $6,000 worth of clothes every 6 months to wearing blue jeans, heavy sweaters, jackets, never carried a purse. I had a backpack, I wore Doc Marten boots, and my hair was always straight because I couldn't afford to have it done all that many times. And it was just a good haircut, but it meant straight hair. I remember looking at my reflection in just sideways. I saw myself in a mirror in a front of a store, and I caught a glimpse of myself, and I thought, wow, is this who you are? Yes. And I'm not going to tell you about it now, but it brought forth a wonderful new career in which I discovered a lot of things by myself. And I really felt the pride in helping people. I mean, you could say, well, when you were doing the news, you were helping people. Well, no, not really. I did help some who turned to me because they wanted help in some way. But no, that job was not it. But this job, I was making a difference, and I knew that in many cases I was making a difference for people in life. So that was my restart. Yours is probably not going to be drastic like that. You're not going to move across the country. You have obligations where you are. But think about this. 90% of all jobs in 5 years, that's what they say, 90% of all jobs in 5 years will be automated. So that's why there may not be any place to turn to with your skill set and get another job, because that's the way things are working. Everything is being shaken up. To what degree do people do things at home? Even broadcasting their own part of the news. That's been part of what they did. And the automation of all of this means you might not have that job. Look at your basic skills. There may be people being fired from other companies just like yours. So this may be the time to think about other skills that you have. And this sounds like pie in the sky, but I tell you, it is not. You may find your job on the internet. I'm not just talking about finding it on a site that sends you somewhere to a brick and mortar place. I'm talking about finding some way in which your skill set, the things that you know how to do that you're maybe dismissive of, can be used by another online company, with everything online just going straight up in terms of what's being sold. And that's going to happen even after the virus. So you have to come up with that and think, okay, is there another job somewhere like the one I have that I can get, that I need to send a resume to? How drastic do I need to change my life? And what kind of skills, what parts of my personality have just not been in that job before? So, yeah, you lost the job, but maybe you gained something too. That's my restart, and I tell you, I know a lot of people who have done it that way. Somehow, the idea got across to somebody by using the media, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever. That's how they did their restarts. Good luck, everybody, on yours. I know this is a really rough time. Hopefully, this is being recorded about 2 weeks before the vaccine is going to start to be distributed. So this may not be all that relevant in that sense, but it is a new world. You can be sure of that. It's a new world that's emerging, and that means that that restart thinking that you did, it's going to come in really handy now. You're going to be ahead of the pack, ahead of those people who kept their jobs for a while. Nice talking to you. Send me your comments and your questions. And if you want to read the book, the link is there. Have a really good day.